Welcome to CinePro.
Hey, stop!
Where we bring your favorite movies back to life with quick recaps, hidden details, and everything you missed. The movie weapons. 2 years ago in Maybrook, a teacher named Justine entered her classroom only to find it empty except for Alex Lilly. The night before, at 2:17 in the morning, Justine's other 17 students walked out of their houses and disappeared into the darkness while running with their arms stretched out. Security systems were triggered, so there was plenty of video showing their escape, but no signs of a kidnapper. The cops talked to Alex and Justine multiple times with all kinds of questions, but neither of them knew anything. For the following month, the school was closed for the investigation. Several searches in the area were conducted to no avail. When it was time to open the school again, the town gathered for a meeting held by Principal Marcus. Almost everyone blamed Justine for the disappearances, claiming she did something that caused the kids to leave. Justine tried to tell the parents that she loved the kids, but they just kept insulting her. Marcus tried to protect her, and the parents called him an accomplice. A detective had to escort her out of the building to keep her safe from the parents' wrath. Afterward, Justine went to the store to buy liquor, since she'd been drinking a lot after the incident. Suddenly, she received a call from an anonymous number and heard a voice threatening her, so she immediately hung up. When Justine left, a junkie named James asked her for change, but she ignored him. Later at home, Justine heard the doorbell ring, but she was afraid to answer. She checked the peephole in the window, yet saw nobody. Then somebody knocked on the door, so Justine finally went outside only to find the word witch painted on her car. In the morning, Justine tried to wash the graffiti off to no avail, so she had to drive to school with the car like that. Marcus put her on a leave of absence and advised her to do something about her mental health. Alex had already been moved to another class and was doing well. Justine wanted to speak to him, but Marcus forbade it, saying that Justine had a pattern of overstepping professional lines. He used examples like her hugging a crying child and driving a kid home after missing the bus. A frustrated Justine returned to her car and had a breakdown. Afterward, Justine filed a report at the police station for the vandalism and the threatening phone calls. Her ex-boyfriend Paul passed by and they shared an awkward moment. That night, Justine and Paul met at the bar, and Paul expressed concern for Justine's situation, but she assured him she could take care of herself. Paul also shared that he and his wife were no longer together. They ended up going to Justine's home and having sex. In the morning, Justine drove Paul home and told him that the cops weren't working hard enough on the case. Later, Justine stopped at the school and waited for the bus to take the kids home. When Alex was dropped off, she followed him to his house. Justine rang the bell and knocked on the door, but nobody answered. All the windows were covered with newspapers, so a worried Justine opened the fence to go to the backyard. One of the windows had a little space between the newspapers that let her look inside, and she was startled when she saw 2 people. She stepped back and tripped on some objects, but the noise didn't get anyone's attention. Justine looked inside again and discovered that Alex's parents were sitting on the couch very still. Justine called Marcus to tell him about this, and Marcus scolded her for stalking Alex. At the grocery store, Justine was suddenly attacked by Paul's wife, Donna, who knew that Justine was with Paul last night. Justine tried to explain that Paul said he was single, but Donna called her a liar as she emptied a bottle of alcohol on her. The clerk had to drag Donna away. That night, Justine dreamed about being back in school. When she entered her classroom, all the kids had their faces on their desks. Suddenly, Alex looked up and revealed he was wearing clown makeup. As he smiled creepily, Justine woke up. There was a strange noise in the house, but when she looked out, she didn't see anything. So she lay down again only to scream when she saw a creepy red-headed woman on the ceiling. In just a second, the woman disappeared. The next day, Justine waited for Alex to come home from school. She asked him if he was okay, and he said he was before walking off. When Justine tried to follow him, Alex yelled at her and ran to his house. Justine then kept ringing the bell and knocking on the door, but nobody answered. Afterward, she spent her day in her car waiting for someone to come out and ended up falling asleep. In the evening, someone finally left the house and got in the car to cut a lock of Justine's hair. Meanwhile, Archer had been suffering from deep depression since his son disappeared and kept watching the footage from the security cameras. At work, he was very distracted and kept making basic mistakes. He often went to the police station to ask for updates, and Captain Locke had to explain that there were no new leads. Archer thought Justine knew something, and Loach pointed out there was no reason to believe she was involved at all. During the school meeting, Archer was one of the parents who first insulted Justine, and he was the one who vandalized her car. The depression was so bad that Archer started sleeping in his son's bedroom. One night he was startled awake, and when he left the bed, he saw himself sleeping, which meant this was a dream. He heard a noise and followed it to find the front door opening on its own. Archer rushed outside and saw his son running away, so he tries to follow him. But after walking through the bushes, he finds himself back at home. As the kid goes inside, a huge structure appears above the house with the number 217. Archer returns to the bedroom and cries when he finds his son sleeping in the bed, apologizing for not being a more affectionate father. The kid's face changes into the creepy red-haired woman, and Archer wakes up. In the morning, Archer notices the tower in the woods and gets an idea. He takes a map and draws a line that links his home with the direction Alex ran to. Then, he visits other houses with missing kids and asks to see their security footage. The first parent says no, but the next one agrees. Archer takes note of the direction the child took and marks it on the map with another line. He thinks the spot where the lines intersect is the answer. On his way to that spot, Archer sees Justine at the gas station and stops to yell at her. At that moment, Justine notices Marcus running with blood on his face and his arms out like the kids. He suddenly tackles her to the ground and tries to choke her, so Archer tries to pull him away, but Marcus knocks him down. This gives Justine an opening to run and hide in the store. Marcus tries to follow her, so Archer kicks him, only for Marcus to tackle him and try to choke him too. Going back a few days, Paul is on patrol and sees James suspiciously sneaking around, so he follows him. He finds him trying to break into a house and calls him out, causing James to run away. A chase ensues, and at first, Paul follows James in his car, but eventually there's no room for the vehicle and he has to continue on foot. Paul tackles James to the ground and handcuffs him, while James explains he was breaking into his own place because he lost his keys. When Paul searches James' pockets, he accidentally pricks his finger on a used needle, so he furiously punches James in revenge. He rushes to the car to get the first aid kit and realizes that his dash cam recorded everything. A desperate Paul then frees James, telling him that they're even now, but also asking him to leave town. Later at the station, Loach tells Paul that things will be fine as long as James doesn't report the incident. That night, Paul goes on his date with Justine. When he gets home in the morning, he discovers Donna came earlier than expected, and his awkward behavior helps her quickly guess what he did. Later at work, Paul sees James outside the station, so he yells at him. James immediately runs away, and Paul follows him in his car after disconnecting the dash cam. Going back in time again, it's shown how James is a junkie living in a tent in the woods. When he's out of substances, he goes to town to look for unlocked cars and steal any objects he finds inside. Then he sells whatever he finds for a few bucks. When Paul sees him, James is trying to break into the house to steal, just like the cop thought. Later, James notices that the Lily house has its windows covered and the wind blew off their mail because nobody picked it up, so he assumes the place is empty. He climbs the wall to reach a window and crawls into a room filled with furniture. In the living room, James is startled to find Alex's parents sitting on the couch with scars on their faces. Neither of them moves, even when James gets too close, so he just keeps stealing things. There's a noise upstairs that James chooses to ignore. After taking everything he can, James gets ready to leave, only to hear a voice coming from the basement. He goes inside and is shocked to find all the missing children standing still. They turn around at the same time, and a terrified James quickly runs back. After he moves some furniture to block the door, Alex's parents stand up and come after him. So James starts running again and leaves the house. While selling the stolen goods at the pawn shop, James sees on a poster that there's a big reward for any information on the missing children. After using the money to buy more of his favorite substance, James calls the police to tell them where the kids are. The cop is skeptical, so he asks him to come to the station to have a talk. When James is about to go in, Paul sees him and yells at him. So, James runs to hide in the forest. He's shocked to find the red-headed woman waving at him and rushes to hide in his tent. Moments later, a shadow appears outside the tent, so James attacks it with his needles. It turns out to be Paul, who drags James out of the tent to point his gun at him. James saves himself by yelling that he knows where the kids are. Following James's directions, Paul makes it to the Lily house. In the car, James watches in shock as Paul rings the bell and someone opens the door to let him in. Hours pass, and it isn't until nightfall that Paul comes out. He rushes toward the car as if in a trance and drags James out while growling like an animal. James yells for help, but nobody hears him before he's dragged into the house. Going back in time again, Marcus is in the supermarket when he gets the call from Justine telling him what she saw. Marcus promises to talk to Alex's parents to investigate. However, on the day of the meeting, the one who shows up is the red-headed lady. This is Alex's Aunt Gladys, who says that Alex's parents are sick and can't leave the house. Marcus explains that there's been a welfare complaint regarding Alex, and his obligation is to speak to the kid's legal guardians, so he'll have to either visit the house or call the authorities. The next day, Gladys shows up at Marcus's home. when she asks for some water, insisting that it be in a bowl. Gladys wants to know if Marcus has contacted the authorities, and after he says no, she takes out a ribbon she stole from his office and wraps it around a funny-looking branch, which she covers with her own blood. When Marcus's husband, Terry, comes closer with a cloth for her injury, Gladys cuts off a lock of his hair. Marcus grabs the phone to call the police, only for Gladys to ring a bell. This puts him in a trance that makes him drop the phone. As his body starts to tremble, Gladys wraps the hair around the stick too, before breaking it. Suddenly, Marcus jumps on Terry and starts choking him while vomiting a strange black liquid all over his face. Then, he repeatedly headbutts Terry's face, killing him. Marcus doesn't stop until Gladys throws the stick in the bowl. After washing the branch, Gladys removes Terry's hair and wraps Justine's before breaking it again. This sends Marcus on a mission to kill her. At the gas station, the fight happens. After bringing Archer down, Marcus rushes into the store to chase after Justine. She tries to hide in the employee's room, but it's locked, so Marcus corners her. At that moment, Archer tackles Marcus against the fridge, and Justine uses the chance to run back to her car. Marcus follows her and breaks a window before she manages to take off, only for him to run after the car. Soon, Archer comes out too and joins the chase. He's driving down the street but has to stop when he sees Marcus getting run over by another vehicle. The other driver screams when she sees Marcus's head splattered all over the road. Later at the hospital, Archer tells the cops everything. On his way out, he finds Justine waiting for him to thank him for saving her. After what happened, Archer doesn't believe she's guilty anymore. He tells her that Marcus was running the same way the kids did and shows her the map. Justine immediately recognizes the mark spot as Alex's house. Another jump in time shows Alex before the disappearances. He's a very shy and lonely kid, and his classmates always harass him for being weird. His parents are a happy, loving couple who one day inform him that his aunt Gladys will be staying with them because she's sick. Gladys arrives in the middle of the night. In the morning, Alex peeks into Gladys's room and sees a red wig and a small tree with funny-looking branches. In the bed, Gladys is looking back at him, so Alex quickly closes the door. After school, Alex waits to be picked up, but nobody shows up, so he has to walk home. In the living room, he finds his parents sitting at the table as if they were in a trance. They say a few words to him, but they're cold and robotic. Then, a healthy-looking Gladys welcomes him home and tells him that his parents are fine. A terrified Alex doesn't let her touch him and throws some water at his dad's face, but he only brushes it off. Gladys scolds him and sends him to his room without dinner. The next morning, Alex finds everyone at the table. His parents have red eyes and won't move. Gladys asks Alex not to tell anyone at school that she's there or that his parents are resting. As a threat, she breaks a branch over a water bowl and forces the parents to grab forks. They repeatedly stab themselves in the face, and Alex can't stop them. They only freeze when Gladys throws the branch in the bowl. She reminds Alex not to say anything, threatening to do worse things if he does. The next day, Alex discovers that Gladys threw all her furniture in the parents' room, and now she sits on the floor doing her rituals. Alex has to heat some soup and feed his parents. For the next few days, Alex repeats the same process. He goes to school, gets groceries afterward, and feeds his family. One night, Alex hears Gladys call him, and he goes to her room to find her in a very weak state, vomiting into a pot. She explains she's very sick, and his parents were making her better, but that's not working anymore. To help her, she needs Alex to bring her an object from each of his classmates. The following morning, while all the kids are in gym class, Alex sneaks into the classroom and takes the name tags from the students' personal bins. Justine soon finds him, so Alex pretends he just forgot something. A worried Justine points out he's been quieter than usual lately and offers a friendly ear, but Alex swears he's fine. Later at home, Alex drops the name tags at Gladys's door. In the middle of the night, he wakes up when he hears a noise. He goes downstairs and finds Gladys breaking the tags into a bowl. She spits in it and throws a match before ringing a bell. At that moment, all of Alex's classmates run out of their homes and enter Alex's house. When the investigation begins, Gladys puts makeup on Alex's dad's face. During the interrogation, she tells the cops that he suffered a stroke and can't speak, so she's taking care of the family. Knowing that the cops would search the house, Gladys makes Alex clean it up and remove the newspaper from the windows. Then, she cuts the kids' hair for a spell to make them hide in the forest for a while. Afterward, Alex has to feed the kids along with his parents. One day, he comes home after school and sees a police car outside. When he enters the house, he finds Paul and James standing in the middle room. He runs upstairs to hide and is blocked by Gladys, who announces they're leaving town the next day. She also tells him not to step over the salt line by her door, which is being guarded by his parents. Minutes later, Justine and Archer park outside the house. They see the door opening and Paul coming out. He waves at them before going back inside. The duo decides to follow him, which is seen by Alex at the window. In the living room, Paul makes another gesture, and Justine comes closer, accidentally stepping on a salt line. Suddenly, James tackles Archer, who starts beating him up, but it doesn't cause any pain. Paul comes after Justine, chasing her to the kitchen, where she throws a pan at his face. The man is unbothered and jumps over the table to grab Justine. She reaches for a peeler and cuts the skin of his face, which doesn't hurt him either, so he just keeps choking her. Upstairs, Alex ignores all the screaming and crosses the salt line, causing his parents to unfreeze and run after him. Alex runs to his room and locks the door so his parents start punching through the wood. When they break in, Alex rushes to the bathroom through the shared door. Then he takes the exit back to the hallway. Next, he runs and hides inside Gladys's bedroom. He can hear his parents breaking down this door too. So he quickly grabs a branch from the tree and hides in the private bathroom. Alex takes some of his blood and smears it on the branch. Meanwhile, Archer keeps kicking and punching James, who continues to recover and come after him. Eventually, James manages to tackle Archer through the basement door, revealing all the kids. Justine manages to grab Paul's gun and shoots him in the neck, yet he's still standing while a black liquid comes out of the hole. This leaves Justine no choice but to shoot Paul in the head. Then, she rushes to the basement and shoots James too. A desperate Archer starts looking at all the kids, searching for his son. He's suddenly startled by Gladys, who rips his necklace off his neck. Seconds later, Archer surprises Justine from behind and starts choking her while Gladys watches them. At the same time, Alex takes a hair from Justine's wig and wraps it around the branch before breaking it. Suddenly, the kids run out of the basement and go after Gladys, who quickly leaves the house. As the children jump through the windows, Gladys runs through the neighbor's house. So, the kids break their windows and doors too. All the neighbors watch in shock as Gladys runs around the neighborhood with a bunch of kids following her, climbing over fences and breaking any glass that gets in their way. Eventually, a girl manages to tackle Gladys to the ground, and the kids pile on top of her to finally kill her by ripping her body apart. Gladys's death causes Archer and Alex's parents to finally snap out of the spell. Justine goes upstairs and finds Alex hugging his parents. Archer follows the trail of destruction to reunite with his son. After the incident, Alex's parents are institutionalized and he goes to live with a kinder aunt. The other children reunite with their families, but it takes them a while to speak again. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.